Hello, Talking Towners. It is 2021. And if you're like me and a business owner, 2020 was pretty dire. Now, 2021 is the time to kickstart your campaign in terms of sales. So why not join lots of other men and women from across the country on our online UK-wide networking events, both for Networking 90 and Speed 60. So check out iwanttonetwork.com and networking90.co.uk.
Hello again, my friends, and you are my friends, and welcome back to Talking Town, the show, the flagship show on the Sunday afternoon. There's no intro this week. It's not uploaded for some reason, but there we go. It's been so busy at Talking Town Towers that it's just, hickledy-pickledy, but I'm glad you could join us this afternoon. I'm getting a warning sign on the dashboard that tells me the internet is weak and to plug into the router. I literally can't plug it into the router any further. It's literally sat right next to the computer. That McDonald's Wi-Fi. Lots to discuss today. We've got, obviously, yesterday's game, the capitulation against Gillingham. It fell a bit flat in the end, didn't it? And then we've got Takeover. Where are we on the latest with that? And everything else in between. Of course, you can support the channel on Ko-Fi, and we thank you ever so much for doing so. I will put on the screen now those that have supported us in recent weeks. It has got more names to be added to this list, and I thank you all ever so much for your one-off contributions. It really means a lot, and it really does keep the lights on. And I know people who create content say that all the time, but it truly does. And we've got a list of people here who support us monthly. This needs updating as well when I get a spare 5 minutes. And I'm planning, bit of a news break here, but I'm planning on doing some monthly giveaways for our monthly supporters. I've got a whole back bedroom full of goodies that I've been buying over the course of the last few months to do something like that. So my wife said to me last night, I think it's about time you started doing it instead of collecting stuff to do it. So yes, we will start doing that. So we need more names though on that monthly supporters list to do that. So thank you ever so much. I am of course joined this afternoon by some wonderful people. They're wonderful people because they've paid me to say that. But I'm looking forward to their company on the list. Callie's in the room. Welcome in, Callie. I hope you are well. And I hope you're looking forward to the lovely dinner you posted on Twitter in response to the Cruncher's meal planner. He's got turkey crown, the Cruncher has, and Callie's got a lovely meal. Anthony Steele, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Stephen Perry. Good afternoon, Josh Russell. Victoria, who will be joining us on Thursday. Good afternoon. No need to panic after yesterday. We can't win and won't win them all. Well, we had been winning though, hadn't we? 3 in a row. So we'll talk about that. Andrew, welcome in. Andrew was sporting the Talking Town goodies this morning on his walk. Lovely to see the mask being used. Here we go. So we'll bring in first and foremost, of course, the guy who told us all about Paul Cook back in the summer. He's always right, never wrong. And when he is, he tends to flounce off WhatsApp. Here we go. Matthew Phillips, you're back from your flounce.
Yeah, I was getting annoyed yesterday. I'm back to full Ipswich Town supporting mode now. Got my man in, and we lost. It annoyed me.
Yesterday I just put the fishing rod out there and I was just bringing them in. George, the legend that is George Nunn. Everything you see artwork wise is thanks to this man, George. We love you, we appreciate you, but there's more to be done, as you know. So we go again, as they say. Hawks, who made his 3rd appearance, Matthew, would you believe, on Thursday night? Birthday, it is. Happy birthday, Jordan. Happy birthday. Jordan, yeah. So 3 appearances on Thursday. Birthday today. Next appearance is an intro. Jordan's life is just peaking right now, Matt. But it's really good. Oh, Lee Brown's not a Turkey Crown fan. That's a bit of a shock. So you're back in full town supporting mode today, are you?
Yes, I am. So that's why I got upset yesterday.
Love it, Rabbit Man. Rabbit Man yesterday said, I love the show. Even my wife loves the show. And I was like, I absolutely love that. I love that we're getting spouses united, Matt, behind the content. Like, we are marriage counselling now. Do you know what I mean? We bring them together and we make them stronger. Ryan says, I think Tuesday with a real test. Well, I'm worried about Tuesday, and we'll get into that, because if you can't beat Gillingham or you get dominated by Gillingham, the league surprise package is a bit of a shock to me. Before I bring Cruncher in, for those that watch wrestling, of which me and you are one, I think that the Cruncher's had a little bit of a gimmick change. I'm a little bit concerned, to tell you the truth. He's gone clean shaven. The hair's been styled. You can almost say he's gone cool. Corporate crunch.
Just pissing myself laughing. It's not clean shaven. There is still a little bit there, but it was getting a bit wild. And the missus said, "Look, you've got to have a shave. You're starting to look like Jesus."
It's like the time Kane came out without the mask. It's shocking to see that video this morning.
I'm not that ugly.
But it was shocking to see the video. You know, Matt commented, and I was like, right, we've got to get a corporate intro for corporate crunch.
I like that.
It's going to be funny as broker, stocks and shares.
I thought I'd shout outs before we start.
Go on,
Scott Johnson, happy birthday. Happy birthday to the Hawks. I can't believe the Hawks is only 29. That is amazing. And big shout out to Kate Riley, who's got a job interview tomorrow.
Big shout out to Kate. Yeah, absolutely. Jordan's 29.
Yeah, 29.
I want to know what moisture. You thought he was younger?
Yeah. I would say he was like 25 or something.
25. Oh, I have to say a quick word actually for Thursday's show. We had somebody in the VIP area that never got onto the show. It looks like a child. That's why I didn't put them on the show. So if you are watching and you're above the age of 18, you want to come on the show, that's fine. But for those that are under 18, we do limit people on the show to a certain age because the crunch can't help it.
Talking about people throwing their toys out the pram, has the fisherman been throwing his toys out the pram this morning?
Well, rumour would have you believe, Crunch, that Luke Chambers is at fault for the Dartford toll, Burnley's goal yesterday, and COVID-19.
Oh, right.
Because everything in the wrong is apparently Luke Chambers' fault, Matt. According to, the poor bloke was nowhere near the goal, not because he was out of position, but because it was nothing to do with him. And Mike Brown is literally Luke Chambers at fault.
You mean on the first goal?
Yeah, the first goal.
Yeah, no, I blamed him for that as well. Yeah.
What?
Well, he scored from the right back position, didn't he?
Well, Norwood's marking him though.
Why is the captain let Norwood mark him then?
Well, because they'll all have jobs to do, Matt, and they'll all be marking certain people.
Oh my God!
Just because he's in that area.
No, I'm with the fisherman on that.
No, I've got. This is a part of my. Well, it's not my goat, but I've got a bit of a moan today. It's like Luke Chambers. He gets blamed for everything, and I'm not having it. Not having it.
Well, he's got a good goal, Chambers. I mean, fair play to him, and I think he got 7 out of 10 in the Football League paper today.
Fifth manager he's been captain under, Matt. Fifth manager he's been captain under, and people say he's crap. And he's gone 10th on the all-time list. He at the top there couldn't wait to get rid of him yesterday, didn't you? In the WhatsApp group.
Right, yeah, he's absolutely dog, mate. And I saw somebody on Twitter say he was our best player yesterday. Well, I refer you back to my Bristol. I refer you back to my Bristol stool chart, my friends. It's all shite. It's just choose which one you want. No. He's only here because he's literally out. He's like survival. This club, you got to out survive everybody. Him and Freddie Sears are the two that are standing.
Look, we can moan as much as we want about Luke Chambers, but there's nobody come in and said, "I'm having that right back shirt." Nobody's come in. Not just this
well, there is. He just can't face it.
He's not here. He's injured.
Kane's missing old.
The main man.
Well,
he'd be right back if he was fit, surely.
He's played 9 games. Who is he?
Well, yeah.
I would like to unpack that a little bit. This is off script. Here we go. So 5th manager he's been captain under. Who are the 5 managers?
Paul Gill,
who brought him in. Yep. Mick.
Yep. Hurst, Lambert, Cook.
So out of those 5, how many managers lost the dressing room? Of which you would say the captain is the leader of?
Well, you don't know for certain.
Exactly. We're just making assumptions on that.
Yeah. Yeah,
okay.
That's all good, isn't it?
Well, we know that.
You'd argue. Well, Hurst, we could. I think we could widely speculate it's probably correct.
Yeah.
Mick never lost the dressing room, did he?
No, Mick. Mick
You said the other week they're still playing for the manager.
I think they are. But were they yesterday?
I don't think Lambert lost the dressing room. Lambert lost the dressing room particularly. But I read a very good article in the week that said Lambert had now the dust has settled on Lambert going. There was like an article that said Lambert had the air of someone who was just content to say Ipswich will finish where we finish and on to next season. Which is, is that because he was kind of an arrogant character, this Glasgow bravado, we just got to turn up and win. A lot of people thought we just had to turn up and win yesterday. That was kind of the feeling around that 90 minutes yesterday. I think it's going to be a very different story with Paul Cook, of course.
Yeah. I was asking the question of how many dressing rooms he lost, by the way. I wasn't making assumptions. I was asking. Because you two know more than I do. You're much more clued into it than I am.
I would say, mate, Lee Hurst, Paul Hurst one.
Yes. It's not just me with the name clangers. Brilliant. I was more getting a crunch, after his fishing exercise on the Friday night that seemed to wind a few people up.
Not really. It was the team. It was the team. And there's certain people who don't like it, and the more they say they don't like it, the more I'll do it. I'll tell you that for a fact. It's so easy, isn't it? It's so easy. What about me fishing last night, boys?
Oh no! Keep me out of that. Keep me out of that. As a columnist now, I can't be getting into spats.
Is that later on in the show? We're going to talk about that.
I think it is. Let's focus on yesterday's capitulation first and foremost against Gillingham. I will drop a link in the chat for those that wish to join us. Is it worrying to either of you that there seemed to... Because everyone's saying we can't blame Paul Cook. Yes, got the name right. Paul Cook.
Hold on.
Thank you. But, been practicing that in the mirror. But, with a hairbrush. But, is it right that we should at least expect 3 things? Commitment, work rate, desire, regardless of who the manager is. Did you get those 3 things yesterday?
No. I've done a little list of things that I thought we were devoid of yesterday. Want to hear it?
How big's the list?
Devoid of passion. It was like none of that kind of new manager bounce back, was there? Devoid of tempo, devoid of cutting edge, devoid of creativity. We have to give Gillingham some props as well. They did stop us doing a lot of those things, but just from the start, just didn't seem to be at the races for whatever reason. Again, we just feel like we've got to turn up and win at these places? I do kind of I don't know what you think, Rich. I put Gillingham. Gillingham are a funny team because I don't think they're ever going to get promoted. I can't really see them getting relegated. So they're kind of like gatekeepers. So you go to places like Priestfield and the challenge is there. Can you get points here? If you do, that's kind of your gateway into maybe the top 6. And we failed it quite miserably, didn't we? They pretty scored us, really.
You think yesterday, Steve Evans, easy team talk for him before the game. Look, they've got a new manager. Let's get out. Let's get into them. And I did say on the full-time show yesterday, I know, look, we were looking at it from our point of view, but I think you really have to give them a lot of credit. They got in our faces. They pressed us. They never let us play. I heard people saying they're an awful team to watch. I didn't think they played terrible football. They just played to their strengths that they've got. Scored some. Look, the 3rd goal was a great goal. I know that people can say Holy didn't dive. He wouldn't have scored it anyway.
Callie.
That guy who scored it, Verdane Oliver, kind of looked up what his history is. He's never ever cost a transfer fee everywhere he's gone. Played for Morecambe, Lincoln, York and Crewe, amongst others. They were 2 absolute clinical finishes.
12 goals he's got now, Matt.
I don't know how many goals he's got this season. I think he's probably got about 7 or 8 in the league. Maybe a little bit more. Even
the second goal he scored was a good finish. It came across. I know we can talk about, and we're going to talk about the mistakes we made for that, but he still took it well. And like I said yesterday, Matt, the 2nd goal and the 3rd goal, everyone's moaning at Sears saying it was his fault.
Yeah.
And it did stem from 2 bad passes. But like I said yesterday on the full-time show, when someone makes a mistake, it's up to your teammates to get you out of the shit. Now, the 2nd goal, we were in their right-back area, 90 yards from our goal. He's given the ball away. And it's like Downs has got caught out of position. He didn't know whether to go or to stay. Toto's made an absolute pig's ear of the cross because he's fallen over. He's fallen over and he's put it in. And even the third goal, Holy's come out, he's saved it. Then he's got caught in a little bit of no man's land. But then Chambers gives the ball away poorly. And then he's got caught in the right back area. So yesterday, I wouldn't pick out one player. I think it was a collective. Everybody was shit. There was no one on that pitch who'd get more than a 5 out of 10.
But that's worrying for the first game in charge for the new manager, isn't it? Like you say, Gillingham played to their strength crunch, but what were those? Like, because second balls they were winning, first balls they were winning, every ball they were winning. They looked more up for the fight than we looked. If you saw that team yesterday and you didn't know nothing about the manager change, you would say that team is not playing for Paul Lambert. You would say it. You would say it.
It's the league. Look, I think it's any league you're in. Everyone can have an off day. Everyone can have an off day. They're only human. I know
all 11.
Yeah, they can. They can have an off day. And let's wait and see when Cook's been in, not just Tuesday, when he's been here 5 or 6 games. That is the time to say, look, he's not playing well, he's not playing well, he's not playing well. But now, like people were saying yesterday, in a sort of weird sort of way, this might benefit him going forward because yesterday, other than Alan Judge, look, we all send him our best wishes. It was the same team, and it had to be the same team, didn't it? Because he couldn't really change when you've won 3 games on the trot. But now we've not played very well. It'll be interesting to see Tuesday how many changes he makes. I don't think there'll be. If people want wholesale changes, if we listen to people, he wouldn't have no players playing because they're all shit. You're not going to throw the whole 11 out, are you?
No.
Go on, Matt.
I was going to say, Gillingham kind of remind me of Stoke in a way. Remember that when Joe Roy used to call them the land of giants, didn't he? It was all big. Like people were saying, why is Matheson not playing? Have you seen the size of the Gillingham side? You know, even if he come on for a bit, didn't he? Big John Akindi. You ain't going to put Matheson up against him, are you? So I can see why he went with the team that he did. But yeah, it was really weird. You would have expected more of a reaction. Yeah,
desire. We lacked desire, didn't we? We lacked desire yesterday from the get-go. We lacked desire, and maybe the early kickoff affected them. Maybe the
why did they kick off at 1 o'clock anyway? That annoyed me. Why did
they kick off on the floodlights, Matt?
Yeah, doesn't it not concern you that we travelled up reportedly the morning of the game?
Well, I've heard that we stayed overnight, and then we've heard reports. Look, it's only Kent, isn't it?
Over the Dartford summer, isn't it?
Yeah, but you wouldn't pack a load of racehorses in.
Sunderland travelled on the day, Martin. Look at that for a trek.
But that's Plymouth. We're Ipswich Town Football Club. Like I expect.
It's COVID. We're in the era of COVID. In era of COVID, you don't really. If you don't need to stay overnight, we're not going to.
Yeah, Plymouth won that game as well.
If you look at it from an athletic point of view, the game is 1 p.m. So you're going to arrive at 12 latest. So what time are you leaving Portman Road? What time are you expecting your athletes to get up? How much sleep are they getting? How much? What's their nutrition like? Like you're condensing a day into a real. It doesn't matter how far it is.
Come on, I'm an athlete. I get up about 3:30 every morning.
Yeah, athlete. Well, athlete's foot. Anyway,
I just think it's teams like Gillingham. It's not just this season. We don't play well against them. Look at Rotherham last year. They beat us up, and physically they outdone us. They outfought us, and they outthought us. And I think. We need some real, you could say we need real men in the team. We need, like you said before, I think, Matt, we need someone in that midfield. And people will say, Cole Scouse, not him, but someone who's been around these leagues and they know what it takes.
We said it in the summer, didn't we? You need an enforcer.
People saying yesterday about Gillingham, some of the things that they'd, look, it's football for fuck's sake. It's not a bloody tickling contest. You have to have some of them dark arts sometimes. We're too nice.
Yeah,
exactly. I agree with you. I agree. Yeah,
you need that kind of. We said in the summer, you need that kind of enforcer. But we haven't got it.
Big bad Gerard and Dawn, mate.
Someone like him.
Someone like him.
Hey, we're putting Cole Scouse in the chat.
What? Scouse class.
Scouse? He don't get his shorts dirty, does he? Look, don't enforce anything. No,
but one yellow last season. 1 yellow in the centre of mid last season.
Hang on. I've heard in the comments there, give Hughes more games.
He can't do any work.
He's another one out the door. Get him out.
He's gone. I wonder how many of that starting 11 you'll see next season in town shirts.
Start with a goalkeeper. That's where we want.
All right. Before we move on to that point, let's bring in George. George, what do you think of yesterday's game?
You sorted your Twitter out yet, George?
No bloody thing.
He forgot his email, Martin.
We've all been there. Don't worry about it, George. George, what do you think about yesterday's game?
Well, I don't think Freddie Sears is much cop anymore. He hasn't done anything since that playoff season, really, has he?
No, agreed with you there.
It's a fair point, isn't it? You know, he has been a bit. I think Ben called him a Ford Fiesta yesterday.
Yeah, he did. A good line, that. Yeah,
it's a bit unfair to Ford Fiestas. I felt like.
Well, I mean, Sears is another one that just kind of embodies his comfort zone we're in. And
what is he?
Kind of winning mindset. Well, it's very comfortable for Sears. He's at the tail end of his career now. He's at a good club. He's getting paid a decent wage.
He's still on championship money. Will he still be on championship money?
Well, they took a pay cut, didn't they?
I would have thought there'd be a pay cut from the relegation, but is he out of contract in the summer? He'll be gone.
Yeah,
I can't see. He'll be gone.
Yeah, I think he played himself out of the 18-man squad yesterday.
Yeah.
You know, but I just wonder what he is to even still be here, because if he's a winger, his assist ratio is completely poor.
Yeah.
If he's a striker, his goal ratio is completely poor. So he's a bit of both.
Champions. There you go, Matt.
What's that?
Rangers.
Oh well, Stevie G. Come on to that later. You see all the crowd yesterday on Twitter.
Fantastic.
Yeah. We couldn't get. What did Martin say? We couldn't get 5 people down the training ground, and you got about 20,000 Rangers fans in Glasgow.
I know.
Sorry,
that did make me laugh. It did make me laugh.
COVID rules.
Yeah. George, outside of Freddie Sears, who else didn't play particularly well for you? Pinpoint people.
Holy. I thought Holy had a poor game.
Yeah. Martin made him for the first goal.
I did. I want a body part. On that shot, George. Like it's gone right past your right leg. You're a big guy. He's making himself stick thin. Spread. What does Michael do, Matt? Spread.
Hang on. We're talking about one of the best goalkeepers ever, and we're talking about Thomas Holy. Don't even put him in the same
Every single person can spread their body out, Crunch. Even I could do that. I've got a blue badge.
I think you're being harsh on that. I think it was just we give away a lot of poor free kicks around the box, and it was deserved.
Your mate Andre.
I agree. He was he was poor yesterday. He gives away a lot of niggly little fouls.
Do you reckon next season, if this deal don't go through, Paul Cook will actually say to Evans, "I need funds here," because I don't think he's the sort of manager that will put up with free transfers to Bosmans.
I think he will. When I spoke to Freddie at Portsmouth, he said he brought players from lower levels. He found players at non-league level and above that, and brought them in and sold them for a profit, etc. So he can operate in that manner. And maybe, Wigan are hardly a financial powerhouse anytime. I just fear.
What about that Corey Bishop from Acton Stanley? He seems a good striker.
Oh, Colby Bishop, yeah.
Yeah, but it costs money. Yeah. It costs money. Yeah. If Evans is still here, get it out of your mind. Get it out of your mind if Evans is still here, because you ain't going to get nobody. Ollie Hawke is an Aaron
Michael Finch.
Well, did you see that thing I sent to you both on WhatsApp where I said, read this in the first comment? It was about a player's dodgy knees. And you have to. You didn't read it, did you?
I think I saw that one.
Was that Jonathan Douglas?
No, but Jonathan Douglas sums it up. The summer is a key point, but I don't feel excited about the summer under Marcus Evans. I can't feel excitement anymore because, look, we've sat through Lambert. It's now all Lambert's fault. Well, he had success elsewhere. Hurst had success with Shrewsbury. It was all Hurst's fault. McCarthy's had success with every single team he's probably been at, apart from one in Cyprus. It was all McCarthy's fault. Like, at what point do we stop and say, well, it can't always be the manager's fault, Crunch. It's got to be the owner, the lack of investment.
I said that in one of the shows in the week. You can't. If Paul Cook, if he doesn't have any help when Evans here in 2 years' time, we'll be sitting here on a Sunday. We'll be wanting Cook out because it'll just be the same old, and it will be. No, Norris wouldn't have saved that first goal. It will be. It'll be the same. It'll be the same things happening. It'll be the same things.
I think Cook did change the keeper when he went at Portsmouth. I might have this wrong. I think he got brought in. Someone might be able to tell me on Google. he brought in David Ford quite quickly.
He signed him at Portsmouth.
Yeah. So I mean, like we said yesterday, I think yesterday, even though I don't want us to lose, I was quite happy us losing under Lambert because I wanted him gone. But now I'm back in full supporter mode. I want victories. But it does give. I do feel like Cook had a bit of a watching brief again yesterday because he was in that. Because it's quite an elevated dugout, isn't it, at Gillingham? Yeah. He's there for most of the game, didn't he? It was only probably the last 25 minutes he actually come down. But maybe it was a watching brief for him. I don't think anyone's impressed him at all. But maybe
at Portsmouth, I don't know if you see the Blue Monday interview, Matt, with the Wigan and the Portsmouth fan. They said at Portsmouth he signed some experienced players, and I'm thinking we all want. A lot of people will be saying get rid of Chambers, but it wouldn't surprise me if he give him another year.
I don't think he will. But I mean, look.
Another thing is, when have we actually had a set piece specialist that can score free kicks and things like that?
Well, Darren Curry
scored from set pieces.
we never score from free kicks, do we? At Town, never.
I mean, Harrop put the ball in yesterday from a set piece, wasn't it? And Chambers scored. But yeah, I've always say we haven't really scored corners and free kicks since probably on a consistent basis. No Garbutt did since Wacom.
All right, George, appreciate you. Stephen, I'm going to bring Stephen in because he made a comment here in the chat. Groundhog Day, it must be Emmy's fault. Talk to me about that.
No, we can't keep blaming managers for things going wrong. You know, Crunchy said it a number of times. You know, we keep blaming managers who have success after us. Yeah.
Oh.
You know, for things.
So you are blaming Marcus Evans. Sorry, I thought you were saying it.
No.
Right.
It must be Marcus Evans' fault. It can't keep being the manager's fault. Right. You know, we've had 13 years, 5 managers. You know, an astounding record when you consider. I think we only had like 12 in 78 under the Cobbles. You know, it's like something's wrong, and the only consistent factor in that is Marcus Evans. It's a northern accent, by the way. Great up here. You know, the only consistent in that is Marcus Evans. You know, and he's got to come to the point. It's either they're going to be the takeover that happens, or Marcus Evans is going to have to dip into his pocket, because otherwise, all these clubs below us. Yeah, but I know you're shaking your head, Martin. But look at Wrexham. They've got investors. How long before they start getting good players in and start rising up the leagues? We don't invest. We're going to sink down the leagues.
You haven't got to convince me. You haven't got to convince me.
But before you know it, we'll be doing the same thing we were doing 5 years ago in the Championship. We'll never be in League One. We're saying it now. We'll never be in League Two. Yes, we bloody well will, because there'll be other people going into other clubs saying these teams who aren't investing are here for the taking. We can rise up the leagues, and we'll end up in League Two if we don't do anything.
He's got a point, Matt.
I don't disagree. We've said it before, haven't we? There's been a trend over the last 10 years where Ipswich have gone down in the pecking order, and the likes of your Burnley, your Bournemouth, Brighton have suddenly risen up into the Premier League. So I don't disagree. But as Matt Slater's told us in the week, Evans has lost 100 million quid on Ipswich. You know what I mean?
All he's doing is paying the bills. You know, I don't get applause for paying my heating bills and my electric bills, but at the end of the day, it's what you have to do.
I'll clap you.
He has spent a lot on wages, Steve, hasn't he? Because, I think the price of football said for every £100 Ipswich generating revenue, they spend 106 on wages. So he has gone to town on the wages. We're living above our means on wages.
As Simon Jordan turns around and says, you know, at the end of the day, you know these things before you go into football.
Yeah,
everyone knows these things before you. He said he doesn't know why he bought it. So if he's not got I think his long-term strategy was go in there, invest 20 or 30 million, see if I can get to the promised land. Didn't get there. All of a sudden, drawbridge up, and suddenly shut all the money supply off. I've got wages here. Well, that's a commitment I've made.
Yeah.
A couple of things that Stephen said. Well, Matt said about the turnover. Is he maximising, Crunch, what he can get out of this football club? Like, as a fan that's invested as you are, do you really feel a part of it, this football club? Because if you don't, the average fan, the neutral, the guy on the street who could go to Portman Road, obviously COVID is restricting that, but could, perhaps won't. So do you feel really included at this football club?
It's a hard one because, if you look, it's a year today since we last went to Portman Road. We played Coventry, and I'll admit, I can't wait to go back. I know people will say don't go while Evans is in charge, but I think I've told you a lot before. I can't do that. I want to go and watch my football team, and it shouldn't matter who the owner is really, because you support the manager and you support the players who are playing on the pitch. And now we've got a new manager. We should all be excited. Well, I think he'll be good enough to get us out of this league. I really do. Maybe not this season, but I definitely think he'll be able to get us out of this league. But it's all comes down to when we get promoted, eventually we will. What happens then? Because if Evans is in charge, say we go up this season, there's no takeover, Cook gets us out of this league, he'll need to invest at least a good 8 to 10 million to make us competitive, mid-table.
I think he could do it for 5 because Paul Cook's been a shrewd operator.
No chance. No chance.
That Wigan team cost just short of 10 million, and they kept pace with Leeds second half of the season. You know, he's a shrewd operator. He can spot a good player. You know, you can name some of them players who he had on the Wigan side. Some are in the Premier League, some are in top half of championships, and that was a very cheap side he put together.
But Stephen, I was listening on the Blue Monday, that the best signing he had at Wigan was Reece James. I remember seeing him. He had him on loan from Chelsea, you know, and he played right back, centre half, and midfield, and they said he was good in all 3 positions. Now, I think I agree with you, Martin. It'd be more than 5 million, because if you go up, the first thing you need is someone who's going to score your goals. James Norwood won't be good enough for the Championship. If you need a proven goal scorer, that's 2 or 3 million to start with, and that's probably cheap.
See, this is where I disagree sometimes with some people who say that, because at the end of the day, Ivan Toney was probably good enough when he went to Peterborough to go straight to the Championship. No one was prepared to take a gamble on him in the Championship, so Peterborough did and then sold him on. I still think he could have gone straight to the Championship then, and he was only 750,000.
Okay.
You know, if someone gambled on him for 750,000 Championship, they could have sold him on.
He played under Cook at Wigan.
They said he was shit. He was awful. The Wigan fans said he was poor.
Kiefer Moore, he went there as well.
In the week, Marcus Evans called it, you can't fiddle while Rome burns. Now, Rome started with a foundation. We're all talking about Paul Cook being a shrewd operator here, but I'm willing to bet he probably started with a level foundation at Wigan and some green shoots, also as Evans called them. What is our Rome? What is our foundation moving forward? Because it's going to be a big season of upheaval and 15 players out of contracts, maybe staff coming in and out. So you say he's a shrewd operator, but too much change too quickly in a new division can, if the investment is lower than it needs to be, can be detrimental. So in your three's opinion, and I'll ask Jordan when he comes on in a second, what is your Rome that Marcus Evans described during the week?
It's a difficult one, isn't it? That's a really difficult one. I just keep thinking back to what you say, Martin, in that summer of transition. Because I always try and look at the bigger picture. You know, can you imagine that team in the Championship next season? No. So, you know, our Rome really is Cook to be able to put his own fingerprints on the club and get his own players in. Because at the moment he's got a mismatch of Lambert players and Paul Hurst players and a little smattering of Mick McCarthy going back with Chambo. So he wants to put his own stamp on things, really. So I think that will be our Rome. That's the foundation, really, where Paul Cook can actually go in and put his own stamp on it. But as you say, can't have too much change too quickly. That's what killed Paul Hurst.
So if we're saying that, then do we just write this season off then, Matt? Is it just a learning? No. Is it just a learning experience of the next 15 games? What he can.
Well, that's a great question, because this is the funny thing about League One. We have not been very good really since October, yet there we are sitting in 7th or 8th. So there is still scope to be able to make a push for promotion, probably playoff positions.
That's a good.
We've not been going to be good enough.
That's a great point there. There's no spine of the team.
Yeah.
But if if you do write it off, Crunch, then you need to immediately sit James Wilson. You need to immediately sit Luke Chambers. You sit the senior players in order to get your younger players blooded into the first team, get them experience. Because he might
want Wilson and Chambers next season.
You can't serve two masters. You can't serve two masters in writing this season off to build foundation while also playing, 31? Like, James Wilson's ceiling is where he is. Luke Wilson's ceiling is higher.
This is where we need to realise where we are. We are a League One team. James Wilson is more than good enough to play in this division.
What's his sell-on value?
But you can't have everyone who's a sell-on value, because then you'll have players.
You must. Under Evans, you must, because everything is built around investment in the team via player sales. So if you don't sell anybody, you don't buy anybody. You get Ollie Hawkins and Aaron Drinnan.
No, that's not where we are. We're at the place where we've got to get out of this league. That's worth more money at the moment than any sell-on value.
So you can't put a season off.
At this moment, well, yeah. To be honest, it's a difficult one. He's got to find out which of the players he wants and which of the players he's got to keep, for next season, regardless of what division we're in. Yeah, he needs to know whether those who can step up if we go up, and those who can handle themselves, and those who can't manage either. He's got to find that over the next 15 games. We're going to lose some of them games, and we have to expect we'll lose some of them games. I'm beginning to think whether we should write off this season and just focus on getting a team which can be a lot more effective and a lot more productive in this team, creating some players who have got sell-on values next term. Because we've got nothing at the moment. We've got no foundation. We've got a team that doesn't do very well. If it went up, it wouldn't do very well. So why don't we just say, what we've got isn't good enough. Let's just do the best we can now. If we go up, great. But we're still gonna have to, like Crunch said, put a lot of money in to do it, keep us up there. If we don't, then we can say, look, you're not good enough, you're not good enough, you're not good enough. But some of these players like Wilson might stay, and as Crunch said, he might want another year out of Chambers. We don't know yet. That's going to be up to. That's going to be.
I do agree with Martin, Stephen. I do agree with Martin about the recruitment. The players the next. This has been 3 years in the making. This. You've had a manager now who's come in, who's got a real blank sheet of paper. He can say, right, we're going to keep you. You lot are going. But I do agree with Martin where the recruitment. I did say before it's got to be smarter, but you need to be signing some players who look. I think we'll all admit we're a selling club. We know that. But we've got to sign them players who we can improve, and then we can move them on.
I agree.
That's what we have to do. But there'll still be players there, Martin, who they're good enough for now. And then you move on to the next level and you say, look, thanks very much, but you're not. That's football in general. That's not just us. You'll see Leeds United. Leeds United, that team at the minute have got basically, it's a championship team. You'll see the summer with Leeds. Bielsa will get rid of a lot of them players because he's had as much as he can out of them, and now they want to go to the next level. And this is what we've got to do. First thing is get out of this league. We won't get out this season. People, you were saying about second place. I don't think at the minute we're in a good enough position to. I'd rather stay in this league for another year.
This is madness. This is madness. I've sat here for a year telling you all the squad's not good enough, and you've been telling me a new manager, 10%. We are.
You should be the last one who agrees with you.
No. But now you're telling me that we've just spent. I don't know. Let's say the figures in the press about Paul Lambert's contract are correct. We just wasted £2.5 million sacking the managers, and then say this season don't matter when we could have sat back and seen how he did, and he could have played himself out of a contract. Like. No. Well, what is it? Is it a write-off? And in that case,
I wouldn't trust Lambert to make the right calls.
Right calls for what? Right calls for what?
Like, I wouldn't trust him on the right calls for the players we've got. I don't trust him for the contracts that are coming up. For me, I think he would pick the wrong ones to keep.
Well, you wouldn't let him. You'd say we are not looking at contracts until the summer, Paul. Like, if you're the owner, you can dictate what goes and what doesn't. But I'm confused. I'm generally confused by the free hit situation. Someone explain it to me, because you've sat here for months telling me this season's so important. Maybe Jordan can explain it.
I'll tell you what the best case scenario is, Martin, before Jordan comes in. The best case scenario is actually we don't write this season off. Cook does get a bit of momentum going. We do get promoted. Then you let go all the players that are out of contract that we think ain't going to make it into the championship, and then you're shopping in a whole different supermarket because you can now bring in players that want to play in the championship.
I agree with that. But I'm just saying we have to temper our expectations, because he's got to go through 50 players or whatever, and he's got to see what each one of them are like. You can't just judge them whether
he did say that, didn't he? Did he say that yesterday, Martin? I've got too many players. You just have to look in them videos that the club put out. How many players are there? Fucking training.
It's like an army, isn't it? Jordan, welcome in. Maybe you can explain it to me, because I've sat here for months and I've got abuse, and that's fine. I can take that.
Can we sing happy birthday to him first?
Of course,
where's the cake? You got cake. You got some cake in. Little Victoria's badge.
I can't pick up anything anyone's saying here.
No, I know. They're all talking over each other. That's why they're all getting excited. They're all getting overexcited. Is it a season to write off all of a sudden? Jordan, what do you think?
I wouldn't say quite right off. When I put a tweet out yesterday, I said it gets a bit of a free hit. Cook himself gets a bit of a free hit, because at the end of the day, you can't expect him to come in. He's never worked with this group of players. I mean, some of them tweets that were put out yesterday were pathetic. And if any of you are on here, you're pathetic, whoever put them out. Because you're coming out here and saying, oh, nothing's changed. Change in 2 days? You're fucking on drugs, aren't you? Do you know what I mean?
Oh, it did change.
It
got worse.
If I go through yesterday's squad, right, some of them players were diabolical yesterday. Absolute toilet yesterday they were. And I'm starting with both goalkeepers, and one of them didn't even play. If I was Paul Kirk, I'd be like cheerio to both of them. I will be in the summer, I tell you, if I was him.
Completely agree with that.
Going back to it, I don't think he gets a free hit. I think it's for me, my personal opinion, the squad we have in general is good enough to make the playoffs, the top 6. I'm not saying top 2. I think top 2 was always a stretch anyway. It was there, but it was always a stretch where we are at this point of the season. James Norwood couldn't hit a barn door. I know he scored 3 and 3, but as I said earlier, the things that you guarantee in life are death, taxes, and James Norwood missing a 1-on-1. Do you know what I mean? Teddy Bishop runs about 15 yards with the ball and passes sideways. He can go as well. It's just, I think we should be making top 6 with where we are at the moment. And if we win our game in hand, I only had a rough look yesterday because I was pissed off with it. But I'm pretty sure if we win our game in hand, we will then creep into that top 6, and then it's still in our hands. I think we will make the top 6. That's where I am with it. Will we go up? I don't believe so. I don't believe we'll go up, but that squad's good enough to make the top 6 for me.
Yeah. Which in that case, Matt, you're not saying free hit. You're saying you've got to make top 6 at least. Like if you don't make top 6, that's a disaster, is it not?
It's a disaster for the club, I feel. I don't think it's a disaster for Paul Cook, because, like as Jordan said, he's having to play and he's been given. It'd be a disaster for the club, to not make the playoffs second season running. It would be a disaster for us. But I don't know. It's interesting what people were saying. I've got my Dallas Cowboys shirt on right today. I can remember when I was supporting them back in the 80s. They had a takeover, big takeover in the NFL. Jerry Jones come in and bought them off the back of a 3-13 season. They brought in Jimmy Johnson, his mate, a really renowned college coach. They had even worse season the following season. They went 1-15, and they were a laughing stock in America. Within 3 years, they've won the Super Bowl. So these things do take time to bring in this kind of foundation. But I do feel like we can get top 6. But the watershed moment's going to be Lincoln, I think, on Tuesday, because then we're going to actually find out whether we can stand toe to toe with a team that's pushing for automatic. That'd be a big moment for us, I think. Tuesday.
I just want to say one thing. I'm still encouraged. Yeah, I'm still encouraged this takeover is going through, and I'm interested to know what Paul Cook might buy about. There's exciting things ahead for fans. Yeah, I haven't seen anything. I've not seen anything for the last 2 years to make any fans excited. So I'll be interested to know what they. If it's just something tokenistic, I'd be slightly disappointed with Paul Cook, because then he's just going to. But if there's something a little bit more that fans can get behind, let's be fans again and not customers, because that's how I feel we've been treated. Like we're not a part of the club. And as we've seen through COVID, football isn't football without fans.
No.
Treat fans with a little bit more respect, and not just, you've got to buy our shirt for 60 quid, or you can buy our season ticket for 400 quid. Like we're just like the customer of an electric company. We're not. Yeah.
We are stakeholders. Stakeholders, and we need to be treated like that. And perhaps it won't be a financial investment we've got, but it's an emotional one. And the emotional ones you can't put a price on. In the insurance game, they can't, can they? So it's just something that, I do agree with you there, Stephen. You've nailed the point, and I do appreciate you coming on the show as always. Look after yourself. And we'll bring in. Going to bring in Paul Beerley. Leandro, Fisherman, I'm not going to get you on because time is creeping on, but we are tomorrow, extra time. So if you want to come on tomorrow, you're more than welcome to. I wish I could get the Fisherman on because that would have been a bit of electric. But Paul, welcome in. I've got to be fair. Those that come first, you know. What do you make of yesterday and all the topics we talked about today?
Yeah, I just want to pick up on stuff like about the recruitment. And Matt and Crunch, you're in the same sort of era as me. Sort of just casting your mind back to about 1994, that sort of time. We'd got relegated from the Premiership. We were in a similar position where we got like a lot of deadwoods, a lot of players that had was past their best. But what we did actually get out of that is actually a strategy very similar to what like the Peterboroughs and the Brentfords is that we had some young players. We mixed that in with like getting players like Jamie Clapham from Tottenham. You know, he couldn't quite get into. He wasn't quite good enough to get into the Tottenham team. A bit of experience with Jim Magilton, who was a good player. He played for Sheffield Wednesday, was in their reserve team. And we just need to get back to that. And, you know, and Martin, you know, going back to what you asked me a couple of weeks ago, is that like, what players have we actually got who we could actually sell on? And I'm like scratching my brain. It shouldn't be like that in any way, shape or form, because you buy a player in for £1 million, let's say, for instance, or a youth team player, you sell them for 6, and then you can buy 2 or 3 players that sort of take you up to the next level. Or even buy a player for £1 million, sell them for 6 million, and then buy another one of those £1 million players, and then sell each of them for 6 million. It's you know, we're just playing from day to day, or our recruitment is just from day to day, here now, loan players. And that's the thing that I can't get my head around is Marcus Evans, you know, with Paul Jewell. That's all we had was loan players, and we're now back to that place.
It is a concern, isn't it, Jordan? Because the whole model that Marcus has built is built on bringing through a Flynn down, selling him for X, Y, or Z, and then reinvesting a proportion, if not all of it, back into the football club. That's the model, isn't it?
Whatever happened to the 5-point plan? Is that still going, or is that?
Nobody knows what that is. I don't think.
A little while. I don't know if that's still going.
Ain't living it.
No, I remember him saying that. Coy ran on about that for a while, but he didn't mention that in his last email, did he? It has gone out the window a bit. I think strategy's gone out the window a bit. I think at least when he told us about this 5-point plan, although I thought it was bollocks, at least it was a plan. Do you know what I mean? Whereas at the moment, I'm not sure I think he just gets offered players by agents and think, are they good enough? Yeah, we might sign him. Does he cost over 20 quid a week on wages? If he does, we won't bother. But it's just how it is. And I think he's just going with a here and now to try to get us out of the division, and it's still not working.
That's interesting. It's interesting you saying that, John, because we had Darren Curry on, didn't we, Martin, when we done the watch along, and he said about Jack Taylor. And Martin asked him, did you recommend him to Ipswich? And he said yes, and other players.
You know,
but it's like you just said. It's like what Paul said about getting players and then selling them on. Tyrone Mings, for me, is a perfect example. Someone we signed for 10 grand.
Yeah.
We sold him for 8 million. And how much did Marcus invest back into the team? Fuck all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you probably use going on the data, you probably just put it into wages rather than what it looks like to me.
Yeah.
But Paul makes a point. You remember that Burley's season of promotion was funded by a selling Dyer to Newcastle for 6 mil back then. Then he bought in
John McGrath.
Bought in the team that was right, yeah.
Jermaine Wright.
Which is what I've been saying. It's all about a jigsaw. If you put the team as a jigsaw, that era there, for example, you took the Dyer out of the jigsaw, but you were able to bring 3 or 4 other pieces and create a better picture, despite losing a great player. Whereas these days, in the summer, regardless of what division, there's not even a foundation of this jigsaw. Whereas all through the year, I've been thinking, Downs will play himself back into form, and he may well do. Wolfenden the same, but he can't get in the team. I just worry that the whole model is sort of falling around our ears because we're saying James Wilson best defender, and he is, but he hasn't got a sell-on value. So I worry about where our striker next year is going to come from because we're not selling anybody to fund anything because we're not playing the players that could be valuable. It worries me. That's why this investment to me is so vital. Jordan, 5-point plan. That's right. The leadership is not there. where's the leadership for the football club? Which direction is our ship going in? Nobody knows. We keep changing.
Is Norwood out of contract in the summer then?
No, he's got another year.
He has another year. Because I'd imagine Cook would probably get rid of him. But,
no, I think he'll keep him. I think he'll keep him, Matt. I don't think he'll get rid of him.
Just like Jordan said earlier, when he was through that 1-on-1 yesterday, you knew you weren't going to do it, didn't you?
No.
Good defending. Good defending.
Fuck.
Yeah, but he needs loads of chances to score.
He's good enough, Matt. He's good. Look, I'm not his biggest fan, and I think you know that. If he played a full season in League One, he'd score 20 goals. And I know he'd miss a lot, but that's why he's a League One striker and he won't go any higher. But strikers miss chances in all leagues. They do.
Can you afford...
He's a League One striker, really. I would say he's probably League Two, which is where he spent the majority of his career.
Jordan, can you afford to allow any players that aren't out of contract to walk? Because you've already got 15 of them potentially leaving.
It depends what your strategy is, doesn't it, Martin? And it doesn't seem like we've got one of them, mate. There must be something in place for Cook to have come in and said what he said, because he said that he's excited about the future and stuff like that. There must be some sort of plan that Pinky and the Brain are hatching behind the scenes that we don't know about. Do you know what I mean? There must be something like, because we're now getting to the point where these players can talk to other clubs, aren't we? Is that the way it works? It's 3 months, isn't it?
Only Edwards, who's out of contract, he could start in January, Jordan.
Right, okay. So there must be something, because you've got 15 players, and no matter what division you're in, whether you're planning for Championship or League One, you must have already players in mind. I think so Darren McCanty, I'm sure he said something a little while ago. I don't know whether it was on this show or something else. He plans about 3 transfer windows in advance. So, and I think if you're not nowadays, you're getting left behind. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and he's really interested in recruitment because he said so on the show with us. He said, I'm really interested in it. He wanted to pair the two lads together, Tony and whoever, and Asa was it, I think. That's how he wanted to put it all together. So he's actively interested in recruitment and looks at players himself.
Look who he's got with him, Matt. Look who he's got at Peterborough, Barry Fry.
Yeah, exactly. We just don't, we've seen it since this podcast started. Peterborough is the model which you should be following. Get these lads in from non-league, sell them on for profits. All lower league and sell them for profit.
And I know it's only reports, Paul, but already when you read the words takeover and they want to put a guy in charge who's got a medium of success at Bristol City, it's already light years ahead of what Marcus Evans has ever done in 13 years. Like, if you put the two up, Leo Neal and Mark Ashton, well, there's no contest, is it? No contest whatsoever.
Not. It's not. It just needs. There's just no structure there. I mean, Leo Neal, I think, has been pushed into a role that he's really not that comfortable with. I think, I don't know Leo Neal, but I'm sure he comes across like he's probably more comfortable going back to his old job rather than somebody who's actually knows how
he's
to
out of his depth,
Mike Brown's missing the point there, Martin. He's totally missed the point, what we're on about with Peterborough.
Well, he has and he hasn't. A lot of people will say they've never been anything, the model works to a certain point and it will never be a championship side, which they never have. But on the Leo Neal thing, Crunch, you've got to empower people in any organisation. We do not empower anybody in that position at Ipswich Town Football Club. You just know they're there to dot the I's, cross the T's, make sure the lights are turned on and off. Like, you've never felt, maybe apart from Simon Clegg, that they're ever in a position of power. Like, they don't make the decisions.
They don't know what's going on.
I think it was embarrassing for Leo. Did you feel embarrassed for Leo Neal?
I felt sorry for him.
Why did they pick him up for press? He's done a press conference, batted it around, since we've taken our time with everything, and then the next day, Paul Cook's announced. It's just ludicrous. A waste of everybody's time.
And then Marcus Evans says he's been having Zoom calls. It's like, well, could you tell your staff that? Like, could you say to Lee, if this question, because you've got to think they prepare for every interview in the sense of, like we do for a podcast. Right? So what will come up, do we feel? What do we think will be said? Yeah. Well, surely the manager question should have been prepared.
He mentioned his name, didn't he? He actually mentioned Paul Cook. It wasn't as though he said we were interviewing managers. He's even said,
It's just crazy. Anyway, we better move it on. Hawks, Paul, appreciate both of you. Lots of love. Right, who wants to go first then? What we got?
You choose. You're the governor.
What are you doing?
Let's go for a go.
But do you want me to go first here? Because it leads in quite nicely to what we were talking about. The email we got this week. Suddenly it went ping on my phone, and there it was from the owner. I thought, this is it. It's the takeover. But I read the statement, obviously. But the thing is, that's what goes into what we've been talking about. And, Stephen Parry earlier saying, you feel like a customer rather than a fan. It's that subject line, from the owner. And it used to really grate me when Clegg and Milne were here. You go, well, we've been speaking to the owner. It's just sort of like, it's soulless, it's cold, it's corporate, it's not that Ipswich way. It's not, you wouldn't have got a Sheepshanks email, would you, saying, like that, or from the Cobbolds. And that just kind of sums up the whole Evans era. It'd be much easier for them to say a message from Marcus. Much more friendly, much more the Ipswich way. Do you know what I mean? Well, he starts off, dear fellow fan.
Does it not show you the change in the tone, though? From the owner is how he normally refers to everything he says. And then suddenly it's, dear fellow fan.
It reminds me of, I thought this the other week, in the old film Wizard of Oz, where you got this huge monster of what seems to be the wizard. And when they actually pull the curtain behind it, it's a bloke pedaling furiously on a bike. That kind of sums up Ipswich quite nicely, I think.
I saw that at the West End. It was great. It was awesome. Really good. Really good.
It was an interesting email. I actually thought it was one of his better statements. And as people have kind of alluded to in other sections of the media, they've said it was kind of like friendly in tone, wasn't it? It was almost like we were catching up with an old friend, which leads me nicely on to the talk of a takeover and all that kind of thing. What I want to know is that when the takeover does go through, which it will, how will he explain the fact that we're not speaking to anybody, there's nothing going on, which is how he kind of finished the email. So how is he going to explain that one away if it's on the table of the EFL, as we believe at the moment?
Well, this is it. It was reported yesterday, right at the bottom of a Frank Yallop article, that it was suddenly announced that it's on the table for the EFL. There've been a couple of posts on, I think, a forum where you can put that down to an opinion, but this was the first time it's properly, that I've seen, Crunch, on a news article.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because the East Anglian, they're supposed to be like the paper that we all read.
Here he goes. Here he goes. Get a popcorn.
Where are they? Where are you, Andy and Stu? What are you doing? Mark Heath, getting ready for your UFC comeback. Why are you actually out there trying to talk to people? Do some digging.
Well, they said they were, to be fair. I mean, I listened to their podcast for the first time ever this week because it's a big topic to take over.
You struggle sleeping.
Be kind.
Be kind after what he came back with me last night? Fuck off. I asked them a simple question last night, right, going off about why are the BBC not sending anyone to the games? And I know that's a BBC, that is what they've decided. And they're sending 2 reporters to a game. Is there any need at the minute? And then he come back with a real... Well, you've seen it.
Well, we don't know who came back to you there, Rich. We've got a good idea.
We've got a good idea who it is. Statman was messaging me. He knows. He's not stupid. Try to make me look stupid. And I've just all I've asked him. It's a simple question, a genuine question.
You got a patronising response, didn't you?
Very patronising. And then all the Kings of Anglia druids all jump on.
Well, Spotify are really good. They give you a button to turn the speed up, so I could listen to it at really breakneck speed, and that was helpful. I won't lie, but Crunch, you've got to let it go, man. Like where they send their reporters is up to them.
It was down to us. It was down to this podcast. It was down to this podcast. In the end, they actually run that headline. We sort of jumped them into action because they're just too easy. It's too comfortable for them.
I like them.
Comes back to comfort zone again, doesn't it? It does come back to comfort zone. We know Mark Heath isn't really invested in Ipswich. He's
him.
A UFC guy. He's a boxing guy. That's what he likes doing. Okay, fair enough. So the onus is on Stu and Andy. Now, I think when the season's like a normal season, you can't watch away games at 3:00 on a Saturday on your sofa. I think what they're doing and sending 2 people is quite critical then, because they're giving you content that you can't see. At the moment, we can see all the content. So you might argue from a business sense for the East Anglian, because they're always pleading poverty, local news, as we keep knowing. They had a thing called Journalism Matters, where they wanted you to subscribe to newspapers, keep local news flowing. It makes much more sense business-wise from send one person. But like Martin says, it's completely up to them what they do.
Someone commented saying, it's good to keep each other company on the journey. Fuck off.
Oh, that's sweet. That's sweet. In a time we can't be with each other.
We can have one. I wouldn't be. Look, if one went and one watched it on iFollow,
I wouldn't mind. My point of view is this: if they both had different opinions and wrote completely differently, I could see the logic. Like if one was left and one was right, I could see it. But from what I've read, they almost report the same, and maybe you've got a point crunch. But I will say this: the NFL, a multi-billionaire entity, their reporters, from what I know, where the fans weren't allowed, the reporters didn't go either. So they sat at home, watched it on the TV, and then did a Zoom call press conference afterwards. And the time when Brennan Woolley sat at home, maybe it's a fair question. But it's down.
I think Brennan was probably quite happy the other night, Matt, that he's not have to travel all the way to Accrington. He can watch it in the studio and then just tune on.
I mean, you can. You should probably. If I was in charge of East England Daily Times, right, I would probably look to work. I'd probably work to look a bit slicker. The fact that maybe you could watch the game with a free stream. You can get Paul Cook on a Zoom call, which is what Brendan's doing. Which is how they're interviewing him at the moment.
Can you put JT's message up, Martin?
It makes sense from a business point of view for them.
Look, their pod is decent. Hang on, they get fucking paid to do it. We're free people who've got fucking kids. We still find time to do a decent pod. We're doing some every week. They get paid.
I'm not included in this, you two. Do not include me in any warfare. I am not a soldier. I do not do war very well. I'm a loving, peaceful person. Mark Keith is great. I love his nicknames. I'm a great nickname person. Warren and Watson, they're fine. I think they're great.
In the bin.
I'm just putting it out there. Crunch, what's your go?
Right, so it's the
He just said it, didn't he?
no, that wasn't actually my go. It's the new it's VAR in football, Matt. So if you watch a game at the minute, Premier League, do you watch much Premier League football?
No.
I dip in and out, to be honest. I watch more foreign stuff, but in and out I dip. Yeah.
I think a lot of it is that there's no fans, but at the minute I can't really invest because every game you're watching, VAR is included. You probably get 2 or 3 VARs a game. If we at the minute we're in League One, we want to go to the Premier League. Imagine we're in the Premier League and we go into a game. Say Town are playing Norwich, and we score a goal, and then you think, hang on, we can't celebrate because we've got to wait for that check. And I don't know if you've got his interview, Matt. Martin, Scott Parker. So I don't know if you see it in the week.
Mm-hmm.
The goal that Fulham scored. I think it was in Dombele. There you go.
Can you hear it?
No.
You keep having trouble with this every time you play it. Is it muted? You got it muted on Twitter?
It shouldn't be. You should hear it, but you can read it at the bottom, can't you? Every single phase, every single moment, an absolute T. And that's where the problem lies for me.
So the goal they scored, and Dombele's cleared it. It's hit the Fulham guy on the arm, who's about 4 yards away from him, and he can't get out of the way. And Madger's turned and he's put it in the net. So they've obviously gone and looked at it.
Yeah.
But now, IFAB, they're changing the handball rule again, Matt. From July the 1st. New handball rule. Accidental handball that leads to a goal-scoring chance or goal for a teammate will no longer be penalised, say football's lawmakers. IFAB confirmed the change on Friday.
I thought they were meeting.
Because of the interpretation that the handball incident was not being applied consistently. Now, football will always be subjective. You've seen handballs. I think it was the Chelsea game where they played Man United last Sunday. Hudson-Odoi. Clear as day handball. So somehow...
I saw that. Yeah, I did see that one.
How is that referee? He's got a screen there to go and look at.
Yeah.
How can he not give it? But it comes down to interpretation because we could have 5 referees over there, 5 over there. Them 5 will say it's a penalty. Them 5 will say it's not. And then I'll read about, have you seen about Arsene Wenger wants to change the offside law?
To what?
I can't remember. They're going to trial it in China. I think offside, why don't we just scrap it? Get rid of the offside law. Let's have a season without offside.
What?
What? You're mad. You've had a bang on the head for like 24 hours, didn't you? Because you've been sending me double messages. And
it's VAR. VAR's been brought in to make the game better. Has it?
Because they've gone too far. They've gone too far.
Gone too far. They're applying it.
You're breaking up.
I mean, they seem to be. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Can you hear me now? They seem to be. I mean, it's ludicrous how they're applying it to the offside law. You know, you're like a fingernail offside. It's just like crazy. They've gone too far. They've gone too far with it. Basically, it needs to kind of like pull it back a little bit.
It's gone from the Frank Lampard incident where it was a clear goal and that obviously needs addressing to if you've got to draw. I think Bianca Westwood said during the week, if you've got to draw lines on the screen, then leave it alone. Like if it's not clear, and that is how the NFL operate. If it isn't clear and obvious, we stick with the call on the field. Why can't football be the same? It's like all this expected goals crap. And I keep seeing graphs of automatic playoffs. Like if a win, you go up. If a lose, your chance of promotion goes down. Well, no shit, Sherlock. Like almost like winning games of football impacts how you do. I mean, we're trying to make math. Like it drives me up the wall, Matt, every time I see something like that. Because
I feel like the goal line tech came in for you know, had the ball cross the line. Really good. Really good.
Yeah.
They couldn't get that right last year. They couldn't even get that right in the Villa Sheffield United game.
Well, yeah, that's just one game out of 1,000, then it's gone wrong. So I thought that was a good rule. And I thought to bring VAR in for penalties, I thought was a good idea. But to be doing this measuring on the pitch for offside, I think it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, as Andy said, and as you said, you know, if you're going to do that sort of thing, you might as well scrap the whole bloody thing and get on with it, and let a team have a sweeper player and change the rules of the game.
Trying to make it a perfect game, aren't they? It'll never be perfect.
Which is what Premier League managers wanted when they first had this discussion, probably going back a decade ago. They didn't want, you know, fans going, "Oh, wasn't it great? It could have gone either way," and you know, that's the beauty of the game. We get to debate it. Alex Ferguson didn't want that. He wanted it. Was it a goal? Was it not? Is that a penalty? Was it not? Are you offside by a centimetre? Either way, they wanted it nailed down, which is why it came in.
Facebook user, that's a good point. Referees mic'd up, but they'd never be able to broadcast.
No, they mic it up in rugby because it's kind of a different culture, isn't it? But yeah,
it was Dermot Gallagher, Martin, that time when they mic'd him up in the Millwall Arsenal game. Do you remember?
Yeah, do you remember that?
Only had his squeaky voice, called him a cheat, didn't he? You're a fucking cheat. You're a cheat.
That's the thing, though. In rugby, it's more of a school teacher and pupils relationship where it's, you know, get away. Whereas in football, everyone thinks they're better and bigger than the referee.
But that's always been the culture for rugby, isn't it? So they're used to it. It's, you know, it's difficult. I would just get rid of it, have it for penalties and keep your goal line safe. I think that works well.
Yeah, I agree. Right, Matt, what you got for us? Let's play your little jingle because I know you like it. There it is. Over to you, sir.
Well, I did have a video lined up for this, but given your sound issues, it might not work. But you've got a photo for it. Yeah, yesterday was Ghana Independence Day. And I read a very interesting article this week. There's a place in Ghana, just north of Accra, which is in the south of the country, called Durban, which is an Aston Villa hotbed of supporters. So it's a small town, probably holds about 48,000 people. And they have over 1,000 Villa fans watching their games every week. Every Sunday, they're up at 5 a.m. singing Villa songs through the town. That's it. You, Crunch, you're an early riser, aren't you? You could be doing that. There you are. There's a picture of the lads. And I just thought this was absolutely fantastic. You know,
they look so happy, didn't they?
They're not Arsenal, they're not Man United, they're not Liverpool, they're Villa. And the reason they're Villa fans is because the founder of the Ghana Lions, which is their fan club, is Owusu Amando Boyaki. And his grandfather's favourite player was Paul McGrath. And so it grew from there when he was playing for Villa. So it grew from there. And their whole dream is to be able to visit Villa Park one day, the Ghana Lions. And they don't want to get a hotel when they come over. They're going to sleep in the Holt End, is their dream. So they've got a little funding campaign going, and that brings it back quite nicely to Ipswich because Tyrone Mings has contributed to it, as has Jack Grealish. And that's their thing. And at the moment, they've got you can follow them on Twitter, AVFC Ghana, I believe it is. And they've got another funding going on at the moment because they haven't got a football pitch in that town. They desperately want to start playing football. So they've got a little funding thing going there. But I just thought that was a fantastic thing. Ghana Independence Day, a hotbed of Villa fans in this little town. And good luck to them once we get out of this pandemic. Hopefully they can come over and we'll see them over. Which got me thinking, Rich, 10 years ago, since England played Ghana at Wembley. Did you go to that game?
Yeah, went to that.
That was an unbelievable match.
Did Asamoah Gyan, was he playing then?
He scored last second, didn't he?
Yeah, what a noise when they equalised.
I was obviously working in Wembley that day, and we were sitting there about lunchtime, getting ready for the match and getting, the media accreditation ready, when you could hear this sort of faint distant of drums. And so where we had the offices at Wembley, you could go over and look right down onto Olympic Way, Wembley Way, and all the surrounds. And they all were coming up, the Ghana fans coming up from the tube with all their drums, and they literally just went round and round and round the stadium for about the next 6 hours until kickoff, until they could get into the ground. Absolutely fantastic. Was that
what you said yesterday about when you went to Gillingham? Was that when they played
Ghana? Yeah, that was the only time I've been to Priestfield. Yeah, another weird coincidence. The only time I went to Priestfield was for England versus Ghana under-20s. So, yeah, some weird coincidence on the Media Mogul story today. But yeah, so fantastic supporters. I hope they get to come over and go to Villa Park, hopefully next season.
I was just retweeting it out for you, so people can head to Twitter and see the video that you had lined up. That my audio issues.
Going on about Ghana, Matt. Do you think they've said before? Will an African nation ever win a World Cup? Do you think?
I was thinking this actually earlier today. It was Pele who always predicted that an African team would win it by the millennium, which obviously didn't happen. But Ghana were unlucky, weren't they? Because didn't they get to the quarterfinals and played Uruguay?
Won that handball, didn't they, in the last minute of extra time and got a red card, and then they missed. That was Asamoah Gyan missed the penalty, didn't they? And then they went out.
They deserved to get to semi-finals that year. That was a really cool team, wasn't it? Really good team.
Well, look at Cameroon. Remember Cameroon in Italian 90? Yeah. Roger Miller. They were fantastic. I always remember from that, Matt, the first game when they played Argentina, and they had 9 men. They had 2 sent off, didn't they? Do you remember the one where Claudio Caniggia? He's running down the right-hand side, and there's one bloke tries to smash him. He's off balance. The next bloke tries it, and then the third one absolutely wipes him out. Classic. There you go. You're not old enough. How old were you in 90, Martin?
Well, it depends on what month it was in 90, because I was born in November of 89. So.
Oh, you've been about 7 months.
Yeah, you did.
Mere nipper.
That was in the San Siro, wasn't it? That opening game. That was in the San Siro, that game.
Yeah.
Did you go there? African side too, win up.
Yeah, I was there.
And that incident with Suarez that you're referring to just adds to the list of beep housery that he loves to do. And that was it robbed them really. And that's when in football they talk about stupid rules about handball. Like for example, this new handball rule. To go back a second, if you've gained an advantage from it, it doesn't matter if it's accidental or not. Why should the team be punished because you've gained an advantage, whether it be accidental or not? Like, that's not the team's fault who's conceded the bloody goal. Anyway, in this incident, Suarez on the line, the ball's going in. Forget about a penalty. It should be a clear goal. Like, if you don't handle it, does it go in? Yes, goal. It's not hard.
Yeah.
Did you see the Bundesliga yesterday? Have you seen that clip from the Bundesliga? I can't remember what game it was. So the goalie's gone up in the last minute. I think it's on the BBC Sport website. They're losing 2-1. I can't remember who it is. The ball's got cleared. The mate is running through on goal. He's going to tap it into the empty net. And the guy sprints back and absolutely takes him out. Takes a red card. I'd have done that.
That'd have been a clenching tackle.
Yeah, get it off.
What you call taking one for the team. Definitely. Anything else from you two? Anything else?
Well, crunching tackle. Have you got some?
I've got a jingle. Yeah. What? To be fair, I already thought we had your over-opinionated, probably wrong view, but apparently not.
Ian St. John.
Yes.
Passed away in the week. So I've got some stats here, Matt. So played for Motherwell, 144 games, 105 goals. Then he made the move to Liverpool. So he signed for Liverpool for £37,500 in the 60s. So equivalent in 2019, it would have been 840,000.
Really? Wow.
Bargain, though, when you think of that goal record. So signed for Liverpool, and Bill Shankly, he described Ian St. John after he retired as a turning point for the club when they signed him, because they were in the second division then.
Cool,
so he played
Yeah.
He played 425 games for Liverpool, 118 goals. Scotland, 21 caps, 9 goals. But then I think for me, and probably you, Matt, as well, I didn't really. I've seen footage of him, obviously, when he played for Liverpool.
Yeah.
We all remember Ian St John from when he was with Greavesy.
Yeah, St Greavesy.
You know, it was like a Saturday lunchtime. I think I'd always sit down, ITV, the jingle had come on, and that was probably the first sort of football show, sort of back then. And you think, it makes me feel old when I'm thinking that was 1985. They done it to 85 to 92. I always remember it was sort of Saint and Greavesy, then you turn it over to BBC One. You'd have like Grandstand. Bob Wilson was on there, and Liverpool ran a fan poll. They done 2. One was back in 2006. 100 players who shook the cop. It's called. So in 2006, Ian St John come 21st. And then in 2013, he come 33rd. So that shows what sort of a mark he had on that football club. I don't know if have you got the footage? Has Martin got the footage there? Oh, look, he's muted himself as well.
He's muted himself now. Come on.
Because I'm typing. I'm trying to type this in so we can get some audio. But
let me tell you what, St Greavesy holds a real thing for me. Because I actually won a competition on St Greavesy. I was one of 50 winners to win an England kit. Filled my post back in the day. You filled your postcard in. My dad got a stamp. We put it in. Sent it off to LWT. Then about a month later, envelope lands on the doorstep. And my dad brought it over. Goes, look at this, LWT in the corner, the old orange and blue logo. And I was one of 50 winners. England kit. It was the England kit for Mexico '86. Fantastic. Yeah. I love St Greavesy. I feel like St Greavesy was ahead of its time. You know, because like it was almost like a podcast show would be now. Because like they'd go to Greavesy and he'd go. He had a little slot, didn't he, where he used to slate Scottish goalkeepers. And they just have like a little highlight reel of him going, look at this awful goalkeeper in Scotland. It was like very kind of like virally style content.
I was looking through some footage, Matt. Do you remember they used to have the spitting image puppet at Greavesy?
Lee's just mentioned it on the comments.
Oh, yeah, brilliant.
Yeah. Well, he come on and he presented the show, didn't he? That Greavesy come on from it, the spitting image one. I think Peter Brackley did his voice on spitting image. The old commentator. But yeah, fantastic. Yeah, Paul Bewley's right. John Walker was in that list of top 100 Liverpool players, I believe.
Is he in that list, is he?
Wow.
Yeah, I think he was. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
There we go.
Great show. Fantastic show. I'd like to see more of that kind of content back on TV again. I thought it was great.
He won't get it. It's all about sort of talking heads now. It's a bit like this, really. You know, it's all about talking heads, opinions. Sometimes they're out there, crunch. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're right. Sometimes they're not, crunch. All different. Matt, well, yeah. If Matt's proven wrong, he flounces. But but to be fair, people say we this show likes to snipe. I don't, but you know, Matt, you do a
hold on a minute. I'm not 48, 47. Don't age me yet.
You like to do a content catch up, which I've not seen anyone else do before. Of not just our stuff, but other people's stuff, correct?
Yes. Yeah. Some good fan content out there at the moment. Absolutely.
So you're often promoting other people, just to make that clear, so people don't say all we do is undermine or what have you. Matt's often out there promoting, but I'm going to promote ourselves for a minute because nobody else will. So over the last 7 days, I'm very proud to say we've got nearly 18,000 views on our content, which to me just blows me away, and I can't thank.
Really good, yeah.
I can't thank people enough for watching us as much as they obviously have done. And for those that haven't perhaps watched some of our content this week, we've got some great stuff. I would say that, but we've got the interview with Lewis Reed, which I'm really proud about. And Lewis was a really honest, down to earth guy. And you know, it's a story that I felt needed to be told that hadn't perhaps locally been told. And just such a story that you have to watch to sort of know about, if that makes sense. I can't really do it justice with
and his grandfather was the first Ipswich Town player to be kept internationally, Billy Reid, back in the 50s.
Absolutely. Then of course you've got all of the fan stuff this week, from Takeover to new manager to podcasts.
Matt wasn't because he's eating his tea.
Well, Matt's not invited, but tomorrow I'm very proud to say we've got some fantastic stuff lined up for International Women's Day. We've got a fan perspective, we've got a player perspective, and then we've got the evening show with Amy Downs Don't know. I will call it. She's hosting tomorrow night's show. It's a female takeover. It's International Women's Day. I will be here, but she will be hosting. So yeah, I'm really proud and pleased with what we've done over the last 7 days. But I appreciate that we can't do it without the fantastic people that watch us. But equally, the other people in the community. I know Crunchy's been having a little bit of a dig, but we're all a community, and we all have to come together. And I wasn't
having a dig. I was just asking. Look, I get battered sometimes, but I'll ask the questions. You know, some people might flounce around them and not want to ask them, but I think sometimes
I'm in brand limitation.
You have to ask the questions, don't you?
You do. Well, that's what you're on the show.
My motto: you don't ask, you don't get.
No, but I'm really
T-shirt coming soon.
I'm proud. So thank you all for watching. Thank you both for joining me, and thank you all to everybody who's been on this week. But a big week coming up. Cruncher, tell them all what's going down Tuesday night.
Don't forget to get your merchandise. You know, I've got one of these on. Martin's got his lovely one on. I'm still. When is Matt's merchandise available?
He's got to say something interesting.
I bought a hoodie. I'm waiting for my hoodie to come.
Yeah, bloody. Oh, by the way, I did see the comments, the digs. They go through my heart. The digs about the postage because I can't do anything about that. Right?
It is expensive.
You're coming from New Zealand, Matt.
Benjamin Bloom uses Teespring. No one has a go about his postage anyway. Anyway, right? I've tried reaching out to UK producers, but we are in the middle of a pandemic, so I am being a little bit, lenient with the time. But we are trying to change the postage and trying to change who does it. So watch this space. But it is supposed to be a well-used platform. But I do appreciate. Yes, I wouldn't perhaps pay the postage myself, and that's a big no-no in my world. If I don't do it, then I don't expect you to. But thank you all for buying the merch. Cruncher, now tell them.
So. Watch along Tuesday night, Lincoln City at home. Big game. Paul Cook's first game. Look, it's a shame really that we're not at the stadium because it'd been great, wouldn't it? First game, you'd have probably got a decent crowd there. Lincoln are a decent team. But we've got another watch along. So joining us for the first half will be Darren Curry again. Hopefully he's finished his painting. And Stuart Slater. And then second half, we've got ITFC women's manager Joe Sheehan joining us, hopefully with somebody else. I'm trying to pull a few strings, the postman trying to deliver as normal. But look, it'd be a great show again. It's a bit different, our watch-alongs, than sort of some of the watch-alongs I think that are out there. But no one does it like Talking Town, do they?
No point copying, it's there, so.
No, exactly. We don't like people who copy.
Well, apparently. No. Anyway, I was going to say something there. I heard a rumour that old Ruby was being Orient manager. Is that true?
Joby McAnuff till the end of the season. But we can ask him. We can ask him on Tuesday night, Martin, can't we?
We certainly can. Anyway,
if he wants to get back in the game. We do know that.
Well, there we go. But Corporate Crunch, Media Mogul, I thank you both. To those watching in the chat, thank you so much.
What we got for dinner, lads? What you got, Matt?
Don't know, actually. I'll have to go and ask the missus. She better be cooking it now. I'm hungry.
Turkey crowns in the oven, ready for 5.
Lovely.
Sounds good. I'll catch you later. Maybe tonight. Who knows?